Hi, I'm PJ from TreelineUSA.com. Today I want to demonstrate for you how to use the Razor Sharp Edgemaking System. We've sold this now for many years here at Treeline and we love it. It has worked for all kinds of tools, from your common pocket knife to your kitchen knives to wood carving tools, broadheads, all kinds of things we've sharpened with this tool. So let me show you how it's used. The Razor Sharp Edgemaking System comes in two different sizes. You get it both in the 6-inch and also the 8-inch, and that'll work on either 6, 6, or 8-inch bench grinders that run at 3450 RPMs or thereabouts. You can also use it with either a 1/2-inch or 5/8-inch spindles. It has a bushing in there that you can either leave in or pop out depending on what size spindle you have on your grinder. So again, usually we use either a 5 or a 6-inch bench grinder, and then at 3450 RPM. But the kit comes with the two wheels. You've got your grit wheel right here for doing your main shaping, and then you have your polishing wheel to kind of put that mirror edge on your blade. It also comes with some wax to help dilute this grit so that it's not so abrasive against your tool, and then some polishing compound or jeweler's rouge to apply to the polishing wheel. That gives it just a little bit of abrasive to get that final edge on your blade. And then you also have replacement grit, so way down the road you can recoat this wheel. It's up to about 20 different times with this same grit, and I'll talk a little bit later about how to recoat your wheel when that happens. So anyway, I want to show you with a variety of tools, whether you're sharpening your pocket knife, V-tools where they have different angles right here, U-gouges where they have rounded edges. So I'm going to show you some of the tricks we've learned over the years to sharpen some of these tools. So let's get set up and get started. When you first get your Razor Sharp Edgemaking System, the grit wheel is going to be very coarse, and so it takes a little bit to kind of work it in. So when you first get it, you're going to apply 2 or 3 seconds worth of wax to it, and then do that a couple of times, and then take an old blade across it a few times to kind of help spread that wax around the wheel. Otherwise it's going to take your tools and it's going to wear them down kind of quickly because it's so abrasive. But once you kind of get it completely coated like we have here, then it's going to be just right. It's not going to be too abrasive, but it's still going to kind of get the job done. And then this wheel over here, same thing, we'll apply a couple seconds worth of rouge to it, and as we take our blade across it, your wheel will get black very fast. And that just means it's doing something. It's taking off just a little bit of metal and starting to polish your blade. So let me show you first on a carving knife, and you can sharpen all kinds of things with it. If you're sharpening your pocket knife, you'll typically use about a 22-degree bevel. So if you have 90 degrees to the wheel, and half that at 45 is where you sharpen most of your hatchets and axes and things like that. Half that again, and that's where you're going to find most of your pocket knife bevels, right around that 22 degrees. So you can do the same thing with a carving tool. We use a little bit flatter grind, so we're going to take this and hold it just a little bit flatter to the wheel to create a flatter profile, which allows you to get in and out of your wood easier when you're carving. So let's turn this on. So again, as it's firing up, so you notice here that we have the wheels are larger than the motor. We do that on purpose. So we have 8-inch wheels on a 5 or a 6-inch bench grinder, and what that does, it allows us, as we're coming across, our knuckles don't bump into the motor. So having wheels a little bit bigger than the motor makes it a lot easier to work with. So with that said, let's get started. So a couple of seconds of wax, and you want to do that about every time that you sharpen. Put a little wax on there. This side you're going to put a little bit of polishing compound. And what we do is we hold that flat against the wheel. The wheels are coming down, and please be aware of that. We put a note on our grinder here in our showroom to let people know not to use it without our supervision, because sometimes we've had people put it the wrong direction in the wheel, and that causes a lot of problems. So make sure the wheels are coming down, come across the face of your surface like this, and we're just going to make multiple passes back and forth. Now if you wanted to, you can make the same pass several times if you have a lot of material to remove. This knife was fairly sharp to begin with, but you can take that and make a few passes. I am wearing safety glasses because sometimes this can throw a little bit of grit and wax on you. But what we're going to do is we're going to sharpen this until we get what's called the wire edge. And the wire edge is a little bit of a burr that's created on the opposite side. So when you rub your finger across it, you'll feel that little bit of a burr there. So once you get that wire edge, then you want to stop on this wheel and go and polish it off on the other wheel. So I've kind of got my finger on the back side of the blade right there, and I can feel that wire edge on here. On metals or blades that are made of kind of softer metal, you'll see a really big burr on there. On better steel knives, you're going to see a lot smaller burr, but usually you can feel it. So once I have that burr for the full length of the blade, I'm going to come over here and I am going to go back and forth to knock off that burr. And just make a few passes with that, because usually that wire edge is quite thin. Now if your blade is fairly sharp to begin with, you could just use this wheel and maintain it, and usually that does a great job of just maintaining your blade. Now that tool right there is sharp and ready to carve with. If you're sharpening a gouge, the bevel right here, you want to keep that good and flat. And so I take it, now again the wheels are coming down, so I'll take this and come up and down, trying to keep that bevel as flat as I can against that surface. And by holding it horizontal to the wheel like this, I can ensure that that bevel is flat from the point all the way up to here. And then once again I get that wire edge on the inside profile of this all the way across, then I'll come over to this wheel here and knock off any kind of burr right there. And then to get the inside, we're not trying to sharpen the inside, but sometimes you got to get that wire edge out. So what we'll do is we'll use either this flex cut slip strop, which we can rub some polishing compound onto the profile that fits best and knock out any kind of burr that's created there. Being careful not to do this, we want to keep it good and flat. Do just a few passes there, or you can take a piece of leather or something like that and knock out any kind of burr. So that's on a U-gouge. On a V-tool, this you sharpen like it's 3 different tools. You have your 2 flats and you have that rounded part in the middle. So you take this, and again, be aware of which direction the wheels are turning, and you come up and down the face of the wheel like this. Flip it over the other side. Sharpen the other side. Now the jury's still out on what's best on sharpening this rounded part. Usually you want to maintain a V and not a U. So I don't sharpen a lot right here, but I will hone it just slightly. So then I come over to the polishing wheel, same thing. And again, it's easier to maintain a knife than it is to regrind it. So I'll stop and strop my tools more often, say like every 20-30 minutes, to ensure that I don't have to totally regrind it. Now I've got my 2 sides flat. Now I'm just going to take and just round over that profile just slightly. Again, usually 1 or 2 passes is all you need. Then come over your slip strop and knock out any kind of burr that's created on that inside edge. Again, you could use a piece of leather if you wanted to push that out. So your pocket knives are done much the same way. You just adjust it. If it's a good quality knife, then you will just follow the manufacturer's bevel on that. And as you're looking down, you can typically see that you're at the right angle. The Razer Sharp Edgemaking System truly is one of the best sharpening systems we've ever used here at Treeline. Again, to kind of review just a second, the kit's available in 2 different sizes, both the 6-inch and the 8-inch. And typically we recommend using the wheels that are a little bit bigger than your motor. So usually if you have a 6-inch bench grinder, get the 8-inch wheels. And so with that, it means you have to pull the guards off. And if you're buying a grinder, be sure to buy a grinder that doesn't have the lights built into the guard. But if you did have one with a light coming out the back like that, that certainly makes it a lot easier to use. But because all the guards would come off, and if the lights are built into the guards, it makes it a little bit tricky to use. But yeah, so a 6-inch bench grinder, 8-inch wheels. It'll fit both the 1/2-inch and 5/8-inch spindles. With the bushing in there, you can either leave in or pop out as you might need. But we've used this system to be able to sharpen knives, gouges, V-tools, and all kinds of tools for both carving and anything you'd have around the house or shop. So visit us at treelineusa.com to pick up your Razer Sharp Edgemaking System. And if you like this video and like to see others like it, please click subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching.